I had liposuction and it failed. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name's Lauren and I am talking about my liposuction today. So over the last 11 months, I had liposuction 2 times. The first time was last October and then the second time was in February. So now it is September. So it's been a long year. I am disappointed with the results from my lipo, and I'm going to go through all of the details and the steps of why I got it, how I did my research, how I prepared, what the actual surgery and recovery was like, and then show you guys some before and after pictures and just kind of talk about, I don't know, I didn't really find a video like this when I was doing my research. And so I want to be able to help you guys make an informed decision and really tell you that lipo isn't like this golden egg that is going to fix all of your problems. Like, it didn't fix mine. In fact, it actually ended really horribly for me. So I hope this video helps you. One thing I will say about plastic surgery in general is I'm not opposed to it, clearly, but I know that a lot of people have opinions, and if you're watching this video, you might be very interested in getting some sort of plastic surgery, and if you want to, do it. If it makes sense for your life, I say go for it. Give it a shot. Don't let other people talk you out of it, tell you you're perfect the way you are. We all have our own insecurities and we deal with things the way that we want to deal with them. So like me, for example, getting liposuction. I'm a size 29 and I've always kind of been a size 29, and it's not so much the size of my waist or even the number on the scale for me. It's that I have a few areas that I just don't love. So when I work out, my arms would never get toned. My thighs were always just kind of like bigger. Like, I have a little bit of a saddlebag, and then my inner thighs always touched. And then my abdomen, it was just kind of nothing. Like, I was just kind of like this shape, and I wanted to be more of like this shape, if you know what I mean. So I thought that lipo would be great for me because it's a quick, easy fix for things that I've been trying to fix with diet and exercise, and that didn't get rid of the shape. And honestly, like, your body type is your body type. If you're gonna have certain lumps in certain areas, like, it's gonna be very challenging for you to get rid of those bumps. For me, it was like, your outer thighs are never gonna go away. I've had them for my entire life. My inner thighs, same thing. Abdomen, like, my ribs stick out, and so it would, like, I would sit and I would just get this roll there. And I mean, you just have to understand your anatomy a little bit and go in knowing, like, this is my body type. I'm going to improve upon things that are already existing, not like I am going to reshape my whole body. I didn't go in with unrealistic expectations. I was just hoping to smooth some areas out. I think another big misconception with lipo is that it's a weight loss tool. Lipo is not for weight loss. You should lose weight. If they suck out fat, technically you should lose weight. I didn't, and I'll explain more later, but it's not for weight loss. It's for body contouring. So if you are overweight and you like are extremely overweight, I should say. Everyone, if you're a little bit overweight, you can get lipo, but if you're very overweight, you'd want to lose the weight first, and then you might need some sort of like skin tightening or even like a tuck of some sort. So lipo wouldn't even be an option if you're very overweight. And I think that there's this big misconception like, oh, you get lipo because you're obese. And it's like, no, actually a lot of average people or even skinny people are getting lipo on their problem spots. I was the perfect candidate for lipo. I'm in my early 30s and I have tight skin. I don't have like saggy skin. I didn't just go through a big weight loss where I'm trying to tighten skin and lose more fat. It was really just to tone areas. So every time I would go and meet with a doctor, they would just say, yeah, you're a perfect candidate. Like, this is going to be great for you. This is going to work for you. And so I would leave and I was like, okay, that's awesome. Like, I'm feeling really hopeful that lipo will just be what I've been looking for. I've done like diets and exercise and I eat pretty healthy, and my weight just stays the same. I can lose weight. Like, I did the HCG diet twice and I lose weight, but then it comes back if you go back to your normal lifestyle. And my normal lifestyle isn't bad. I do Pilates and I walk multiple times a week. So it's not like I just have this sedentary lifestyle where I sit on my butt. I used to do weightlifting, hiking. I don't know, just the way my body is. So that's okay. I don't hate my body. I actually like my body, especially in clothes. I've really learned to dress for my body type. It's more just like, you know, I'd like to feel better in a bathing suit. I live in San Diego and I've never really loved going to the beach or even going to the pool. One, because of the sun, but also I don't feel that comfortable in a bathing suit and just having it all out there in the daylight for anyone to see. So I was hoping that Lipo would help me with that. When Steve's my husband, when we decided, okay, like, yeah, let's do this. Like, if you really do want to fix some areas, let's go to doctors and figure it out. So I met with 4 different plastic surgeons. Well, I guess 3. Technically, one was like a lipo clinic, which I'll get into it. The first doctor I went to was such a jerk. I went in there, I waited for like 40 minutes for him to see me. This is the last appointment of the day. He comes into the office, doesn't even sit down, and he was like, okay, so you want lipo? This is the price. Didn't even really look at me. He was just so rude. And I was like, okay, well, so how does it work? Like, what's the timeline? Didn't really even want to answer my question. So obviously I didn't go to him. The second surgeon I went to he's very sweet. He was just saying, you know, with your age and the fact that you haven't had kids yet, I would be hesitant to do lipo on you because you're going to have kids and it's going to go back to how it was most likely or get worse. And so he was like, I can do some areas, but I'm not going to do your abdomen. And really, like, I don't think that you should do it anyways, until after you have kids. So Steve and I are on the fence about having kids anyways, and I explained that to him, and I was like, you know, kids are a factor, but not necessarily. Like, I don't know if I want kids. Oh, and the second doctor tried to charge me for a consultation fee, and I was like, no, like, what, you want $150 of your time, like, just to sit there and talk, and then what if I was like, okay, so I want to do this, and he's like, no, I don't want to do it on you, but like, give me my money back. So weird. So then the third doctor that I went to, I actually really liked his bedside manner. He made me feel really comfortable. He chatted with me for like 45 minutes. He really gave me his quality time. He didn't have, actually, honestly, like, none of these doctors really had pictures on their websites of before and afters for lipo. And I mean, I'm a beauty blogger and I forget to take pictures, so I guess I get that. Or maybe the patients didn't want it posted on the website. I don't know. It was just, I wish, like, hindsight, I would have asked for more pictures or done a little bit more, like, digging into the doctor that I chose and say, I really want to see pictures. If I can maybe talk to previous patients that are open to sharing their story. I wish I did that, because I come to find out that just because a plastic surgeon does lipo, it doesn't mean that that's his specialty. He probably also does facelifts and rhinoplasty and whatever else, boob jobs, like, who knows. So I wish I would have known this back then, just to ask, and don't be afraid to ask. So I ended up going to a lipo clinic, and they had a ton of pictures, and the pictures were good. The reviews were decent. The reviews were good. I would say the reviews were more based on, like, the salesy type culture of the office. It was very salesy, but they made you feel really comfortable. And they were actually more expensive than one of the plastic surgeons, but I ended up not going with them because they couldn't do all the areas that I wanted at once. They were like, okay, we'll do one, and then the next week we'll do the other areas. And I'm like, no, like, I have to come back. I don't want to come back. I ended up going with a third doctor. And so the areas that I had lipo on was my arms. I did my bra fat, my flanks, my abdomen, like upper and lower abdomen, and my inner and outer thighs. And I wish that there was more information, or even just, I wish that the doctors would have said, this is a lot more painful than you think. Like, don't expect your body to just bounce back and you'll be fine in a few days. All of them said, like, oh, you can go back to work in a few days. And I'm like, really? Like, you're going in on my body and, like, sucking fat out, but I can go back to work in a few days? That seems crazy to me. So I feel like that's something I wish I knew more of going in. It is extremely painful. All right, so we took pictures. So when I finally like booked with the doctor, we took before pictures, we took my weight, and we went over the areas that I would do. And then I just waited until I got my surgery. I went and got blood work done and all of that. And then the day of my surgery, it took him so long that he had to put a catheter in me, which I don't know if I would have agreed to that. Knowing what I know now, it's extremely painful. But he put a catheter in me, and when I woke up, I was in so much pain. But just from the catheter, like everything else was still pretty numb. So that was weird. But he put me up in a really nice hotel in La Jolla, which was great because it was really close to his office. So that was nice, although I didn't get to enjoy anything at the resort. I basically just went to the room and slept all night. And that was a trip because I remember waking up in the middle of the night and I thought I had peed my pants because the catheter, it was like warm and I think I was peeing, but I was like, Steve, and Steve and I had separate beds. And so he like took me to the bathroom, and to make sure that the catheter was still in, I could barely walk. I was in so much pain. It was still in. I guess they're like way up there. So that was, I wish that they would have explained a little bit more about how catheters worked too, because that was scary. So the next day we went to the office, they took out the catheter, it was awful. My arm had bled, but I didn't have that much leakage. Like the Lipo clinic says you can expect to leak a lot. Like a lot of stuff is gonna come out, and it's because they don't close your wounds, they just let it leak out of you. My surgeon actually closed the little holes where he went in with stitches. So I went home, slept the rest of that day, and then the next day Steve went back to work. And I was home alone and in so much pain. I was on the couch downstairs, and I just remember I had to go to the restroom and I couldn't get up because my arms hurt so much. My like right here hurt, my stomach hurt, my thighs hurt. It was just horrible. Like I even called Steve at one point and I was like, please come home. Like I'm not okay. I can't get up to go to the bathroom. And you're also supposed to go on 20-minute walks a few times a day. My poor neighbors, I was a wreck. I just remember putting on my visor, putting on a hoodie, throwing on some Uggs, and just like dragging my feet around my block multiple times, just trying to hit 20 minutes so I could go back home and lay back down. So the recovery the first few days was really horrible. Like the worst. More than I could ever explain to you. You're supposed to wear this compression garment that has a hole in the crotch so you don't have to take it off, which sounds gross, but it's like such a big hole you really don't get anything on it. And then I was wearing this arm compression garment and then this like bra one. So my whole body was basically covered from my knees to my elbows. And that was uncomfortable. You have to wear that full time for 4 weeks. So right after our surgery, we ended up like going into escrow and having to move. And so I had to like pack and move a bunch of boxes. And Steve was saying like, don't do this. Like, don't stress yourself out. Your body, like just Lauren, just go to the new house and sit there. And I'm like, okay, fine. So I'm sitting there and then I'm watching all these people move boxes for me. And I'm like, I can't just sit here. This is so awkward. So I'm trying to help them. But I think that was a huge mistake just in terms of like immediate swelling and recovery, because I'll show you a picture. It was bad, like so bad. I was so swollen. Everything hurt. I got like the bruises were horrible. It was so scary. Steve was terrified. It was just so bad. I ended up doing 4 lymphatic drainage massages in my house. So I had like this gal would come to my house and I would like show her my bruises. I swear she was like barely touching my skin, and she was rubbing arnica onto me with her lotion, just trying to help with the bruising and the swelling. And it was crazy. It helped so much, but my armpits were like, this yellow discharge was like coming out of my lymph nodes and my armpits. It was nuts. But it helped so much with the amount of pain and just swelling that I was experiencing. So that was my bad. I probably shouldn't have moved right after I had surgery. And then I also was like the whole left side of my body, wherever there was an incision, they put the little like the silicone tape on top, and I had reactions to that or to whatever they put on after the surgery to keep the suture area closed, my skin was reacting really poorly to that, and so it was red and inflamed and itchy, and I still actually, the left side on one area is very red, and like the scar is very angry. The rest of the scars aren't that bad. Like, I'll show you what they look like. So this scar healed a lot better. So I have scars on both elbows right here under my ribs, right here on both sides of my back, right here above my, like on either side of my tailbone, on my thigh, like my hips, my outer thighs, and then kind of near my crotch. So there are quite a few little marks, but they're very mild, and unless you knew what it was, you would not know that that's from lipo. So the scarring isn't bad, just that one really bothers me, and then one is like darkened more than the others, but having lipo was actually really hard on my relationship. Steve and I are affectionate. We like to hug, and like we couldn't really touch because I did my arms and my back fat, so it was like, oh, and then I couldn't really lay on my side, and so I'm just laying on my back at night, and he's got to have like a foot between us because it was just, don't even get near me, I'm in pain. So that was hard, but it was also emotionally hard because it's like you miss them. And sometimes when you're feeling like crap and you're in a lot of pain, all you need is a hug or like someone to be there for you. And I think it was really hard for him to see me in so much pain and not be able to help me. So that was a really unexpected side effect of having the surgery. I also at one point, when I was so itchy everywhere, it was like the nerve endings in my body started to realize, hey, like you sucked out a bunch of stuff and we don't know what to do. And so they were just like in hyperdrive. And so I would go nuts. I was like, I don't know what to do. I can't scratch myself. So I ended up taking allergy pills, and that helped a lot. And it also just put me to sleep. So the whole myth about like you can go back to work in a few days, I would say give it at least a week and longer if you can. Something else that's weird is you're wearing a compression garment and you're so swollen and you have to wear it for a month. And so you don't really think about this, but you're like, oh, but I'll be skinnier, so I'll be able to fit into my clothes. The compression garment is not that thick. No, you can't. You're swollen. You will not be able to fit into your clothes. You're going to feel like crap about yourself. Even my leggings were tight. It was bad. So I ended up going to Old Navy and buying a bigger pair of jeans. I went to the surgeon a few weeks later, and I was like, you know, my compression garment really hurts me. The band was this thick. It was just too tight right here, which is where my ribs stick out anyways, and it was bunching on the sides, and I was like, this can't be right. And they wouldn't give me another one. They were like, you're fine, don't worry. And I'm like, this doesn't seem fine because it's bunching and I might have weird lumps later. And they were like, no, don't worry about it. And so I ended up, after 2 weeks, I bought a different compression garment online, and I started wearing that one because theirs was so wrong and poorly fitted to my body type. So after the first month, when you take the compression garments off, you can start working out again, but it actually hurts to take the compression garments off because your skin is so sensitized and it hurts to touch you, and like some of the areas are numb and some are highly sensitized. And so I'm doing Pilates and I can barely lean on the box because it hurts so much. I was working so hard. I wanted to see results from the lipo. I wasn't going to be one of those people that invested a lot of money and just waited to see what happened. Like, I was going to be very proactive. I was really watching my diet. Yeah, I was working out. Like, I was trying really hard. I was continuing to wear the proper clothing. And like, I still wore my compression after the fact and just tighter pants. And I was trying to keep things like tight and right. So I was weighing myself regularly, especially after I took the compression garments off, but I was giving myself grace because obviously I'm swollen. The surgeon ended up taking out 12 pounds, which is a lot. And so I was excited because I'm like, okay, I'm going to be 12 pounds lighter plus skinnier. Like, that'll be cool. And so after a few weeks, I weighed myself and I was down 4 pounds. I went back in for my 3-month checkup and I weighed the same. And we're like, how does that work? And so we took pictures, we compared this side by side, and some areas looked worse. Like my outer thighs, one of them was super warped. My hips were warped. My abdomen didn't look any different. It was bad. It was like he didn't really do anything. Well, it clearly he did because my thigh was messed up, but some areas were like, did you go in there? I was also taking my measurements, and they say swelling lasts 3 months. That's why your post-op is at the 3-month mark, but my measurements were the same. And so I was just really discouraged, and it sucked. So when I had my consultation with the surgeon, one thing that he told me was your inner thighs and your abdomen, you cannot go very aggressive on those areas because the stomach tends to sag. I listened to him, but he was still gonna do it on me, so I was like, okay, so like I'll be fine, right? Well, no, my inner thighs are not fine. All right, so my stomach, he took out fat from right here, so that's what you'll see. There's scars right around here, and those actually healed really nicely. So now I have, like, I'm looking down, and this side sticks out way more than this side, but I also have this weird donut thing there that I didn't have before. I felt like my stomach was a lot more symmetrical, and now it's just kind of all focused right around my belly button, and it's like droopy, so you can see there's just loose skin here now. And then from the side, same thing, you can really see that odd shape, like that donut shape that I'm talking about. Okay, so this skin right here is also really loose, so when I wear pants, it like pushes it and hangs over really weird. And I feel like even if I mean, there's not really fat there to grab, it's just skin. So if I were to, like, I can't lose the weight and have this tighten up, so I feel like I need some sort of skin tightening treatment because now it's just squish. And then my inner thighs are just completely warped. So this is loose skin. Like, this isn't even fat. This is just where he sucked fat out and the skin just kind of fell and hung that way. So before it was like, here's where they touch, and then it was just kind of the normal progression down to your knees. But now it's like, here's how it goes. So I definitely have this bulge of loose skin that's just kind of there, and I feel like I need a thigh lift to fix it. So that's really disappointing. But when I went in for my 3-month checkup and weighed myself, he took out 12 pounds, remember. I weighed the same as before I went into surgery. And I don't understand that because I was working out the same. I was eating basically the same. Like, my diet hadn't changed since before the surgery. If anything, I was eating better. And then we were looking at pictures and some areas were worse, like way worse. And I looked at him and I was like, what do we do? Where do we go from here? And he was like, well, I see what you're talking about, so let's do it again. And I'm looking at him like, I'm not paying to do this again. Are you insane? It was expensive. And he was like, okay, I'll do the surgery for free if you cover the anesthesiologist. And so I agreed because I wanted to get these areas fixed, and we did the surgery again. So that was, I think we did it a month after our 3-month appointment. And so I did the surgery. The second surgery was not nearly as bad. The areas we did again, we didn't do everything. We did outer thighs, abdomen, flanks, and bra fat. So again, I'm really excited because now I'm really hopeful. And my outer thighs are better. There's definitely lumps and bumps. The recovery was not nearly as bad. When you don't do your arms, I feel like arms were so much worse than I was expecting. I'm actually okay with how my arms turned out. It's more just, I don't love them, but they're way better. Like, now I can see muscle tone. I see a difference in my outer thighs. I would say that my outer thighs and my arms are the best areas that were done, but I'm also really lumpy on my outer thighs, so that's new to me. I noticed that this thigh is actually way worse than my other thigh, and it's very lumpy. So you can see how the shape is just, you see? Mm-hmm. The only good thing I will say is, like, I used to sit and get cellulite right here, and I do feel like I still get cellulite, but it's different. And then also when I sit, like right here is almost like it's been hollowed out so much that it like leaves an indent right there when I sit, which is very strange, but no one would ever really see that. I feel like it did define my butt better, but not evenly. So I'm going to show you guys pictures so you can see my butt My right butt cheek was always a little bit bigger, but now it's like more defined where you can see the difference. Not that that really matters. Like, how often are you going to stand there like this to take pictures? Like, in real life, you're going to move around, and I'm still not comfortable in a bathing suit, so there's that. All right, so one thing that I thought my arms would do is make this part like skinnier, and I feel like it just sticks out the same. And then right here, there's still just this like raw fat roll, but now it feels loose, so it's like loose skin that's hanging down. So I wish that I did skin tightening with lipo. So another thing that's new to me, like this used to just be like even, but he sucked out the fat right here. So now I have these weird like hip bulges that I just really don't like. And you can see them in jeans, you can see them in everything. So like when I tried on a high-waisted bathing suit this summer, and it's like just really accentuates whatever he did right there, which really sucks. So after the second surgery, they put me in a much more comfortable compression garment. It was like night and day from the first one. The band was thinner and not quite as stiff. After the second surgery, I kind of feel like the plastic surgeon and his office were over me, and they just didn't really do much follow-up. They didn't check in to see how I was doing. I called them to make a post-op appointment. I called because I wanted pictures so that I could help you guys do this video and that whole thing. And I called and I was like, can I make an appointment to take pictures at least? They send the pictures. I'm comparing them to my before pictures, and I just started bawling because a lot of them were the same or worse. And it just like made no sense to me. So I was like, okay, I guess just have the surgeon look at the pictures and call me. Like, I'd like to see what he thinks about this. And so the surgeon calls me, and he's like, I'm looking at these pictures of you, and you look the same. And I'm like, yeah, I'm aware. And I was like, I'm the same size. My clothes fit the same. Some areas are actually worse. I don't know why. And he was like, well, Lauren, we ended up taking out 15 pounds. You must have gained 15 pounds back. And I was like, okay, so you're basically saying that I've gained 15 pounds in 10 months. And he was like, I don't know what else to say. I took all the weight out. And I'm just like, okay. So that's where this video gets really hard for me and really touchy, is just because I don't know what happened. I work out the same. I eat basically the same. So we've been on a few trips this summer, and maybe that's a couple pounds, but not, I don't think it's enough to justify a 15-pound weight gain in 11 months. Like, never in my adult life have I gained 15 pounds total, but like somehow I did it in 11 months. So I don't know. Like, I don't know why lipo didn't work for me, and I feel really bad about it. The surgeon actually ended up refunding me 50%, which is interesting. I don't know, guys. It sucks. So was lipo worth it? Maybe on my arms, maybe my outer thighs. Everywhere else, I would say no. And it's really shitty. Actually, it really sucks. You know, I'm glad I didn't do this video immediately after that appointment, because I was really emotional, and now it is what it is. And it sucks, but I learned a lot. I wouldn't say that I'm like anti-plastic surgery. I would say like maybe do a little bit more research on your surgeon, look at a lot of before and after pictures, and that's my lipo story. Thank you guys for watching this video. I know it's a long one, but it means a lot to me to have the opportunity to help other people make an informed decision when it comes to lipo. I hope that this helps you, or if you know someone that's going to get lipo, have them watch this first. You can leave me a message in the comments. You can DM me on Instagram. It's at Lauren Arrow Beauty. You can email me at hello@LaurenArrow. Like, I'm very accessible if you want to talk about lipo. I wish I had someone to talk to, and I didn't realize this at the time, but a lot of people on my Instagram messaged me and said that they also had failed lipo. And I'm like, I can't believe this is a thing and not more people talk about it. I also had a few that say that it worked. but I feel like I have more that say it didn't work for them. But you'd be surprised how many people have had lipo and just don't talk about it. I'm not opposed to other weight loss things or, you know, fat loss things. Like there's this doctor in New York City that does skin tightening as he does lipo. And that just sounds really interesting to me and brilliant. I feel like he's ahead of the time. So I might actually go and see him and just learn about what he does and maybe even try it. Well, who knows? Thank you guys for watching. I hope you found this informative, and I would love if you could subscribe to my channel. I'm going to do more breakdown comparisons with like lipo versus Kybella versus cool sculpting and M sculpt. So I have some fun stuff coming.